Hello grown-ups. Are you already starting to think about the summer holidays and how to keep the kids busy? Yeah, I thought you might. Today's podcast is brought to you by Kellogg'S football camps, a brilliant solution for families looking to keep kids active, having fun and building confidence this summer. With camps for girls and boys aged 5 to 15, Kellogg'S are offering over 39,000 free places at sessions hosted by over 70 pro football clubs across the UK, from Colchester to Cardiff, Glasgow to London. It's a great chance for kids to get out, to play football and make new friends over the summer break. To book a free place, just buy a promotional Kellogg'S football camps pack and scan the QR code to choose a club near you. T's and C's apply, subject to availability. Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. This is a very special Super Week, brought to you thanks to the Kellogg'S football camps. There will be a new episode every single day this week. 7 days, 7 episodes, 7 different subjects. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about an EFL football club. Well, they are at the moment anyway. They're a team who are doing unbelievably well, but they're a team who have had quite the past. They are, of course, no other than Coventry City. So, picture this. No PlayStations, no TVs or any mod cons like that. But in Coventry, something was happening. We're talking about the year 1883. The city of Coventry was booming, with bicycle factories of all things, and inside one of them, which went by the name of the Singers Cycle Company, a group of workers had an idea. Right lads, they said, we work hard but we also want to play some football. And just like that, in 1883, yes, that long ago, Coventry City Football Club was born. Well, sort of anyway. Back then, they were called Singers F.C. Not because they loved karaoke, but because they worked for Singer Bikes. Leading the charge was somebody called Willie Stanley, basically the boss of the operation. The player, the organiser, probably the bloke who remembered to bring the football as well. Their first game, well, let's just say it didn't go so well. In fact, it was awful. They lost their first ever match, 9-0. You heard me right, 9-0. But here's the thing, they didn't quit. They got better. In fact, they got much better. By the early 1890s, they were winning trophies like the Birmingham Junior Cup, not once but twice in a row. Apparently, it was quite a big competition back then. And then came a really big moment. In 1898, they dropped their factory name and they became what we know them as today, which is Coventry City Football Club. No longer just a team of workers, now they were a team for the whole city. And trust me, this was only the beginning. And there you go, you can impress your friends and family with that one. Who knew that Coventry City Football Club was started by some workers from a bicycle factory? And their name was Singer. And they were never actually called Coventry City in the first place. I love this history stuff. Right, so Coventry City had a name. Now they needed a home. So, in 1899 they moved into Highfield Road, their very own ground. Well, kind of a ground. The main stand was said to have cost 100 Great British pounds, which back then was a lot of money. Basically, it was the kind of money where you spend it and you think, oh, I really hope this works out. The good news is their first game there, they won. It wasn't like their first game ever. They scored 1 goal and got the victory. But football has a funny way of keeping you humble. And anyone who's played or anyone who's got a team will know that. Because just a couple of years later, Coventry played an FA Cup match and they lost 11-2. Anyway, Coventry fans will move on from that, because that's not a football match, it's a maths lesson gone wrong. Still, instead of panicking, the club got smarter. In 1907, they became a proper business. They were raising money, getting organised, doing things properly. And then things started to click into place. By 1908, Coventry joined what was called the Southern League, one of the strongest leagues outside the top division of football. And then, a proper wow moment. In 1910, Coventry went on an FA Cup run, and they beat two teams from the top division, Preston North End and Nottingham Forest, who were proper, genuine top contenders at this time. That's like a League 2 or League 1 side smashing Manchester City or Arsenal or Chelsea or one of the top teams today. They were what was known as giant killers, a phrase which is often used these days as well. Players like a bloke called Fred Chaplin, who, let me tell you, had one mean moustache, and Harold Parks, who I think had a moustache too. They became early heroes. They were tough, fearless, and always up for the fight, no matter what. When they were wearing the Coventry City colours, they were playing their little hearts out. But just as things were building, the world changed, because nothing runs smooth forever. In 1914, the First World War began. Football stopped. In fact, pretty much everything stopped. And Coventry City, like pretty much every club, had to wait. They had to be patient. Football was back after the war. But for Coventry City, it was a bit of a nightmare. In their first season in the Football League, things went terrible. And I mean really terrible. They went on a 9-game losing streak. Imagine losing once, twice, 3 times. That's frustrating. Never mind 9 times in a row. Then they went 11 games without scoring a single goal. Never mind not winning, they weren't scoring either. But somehow, just somehow, they survived. Just. Now, here's when it gets interesting. In 1922, the club decided to try something different. They ditched their usual colours and they switched to red and green. What we know them as today is the Sky Blues because, well, state the obvious. Now they look like a festive Christmas tree. The idea was to represent the city of Coventry. The result, well, let's just say it didn't magically turn them into Real Madrid. By 1925, they were relegated and things looked pretty bad. Crowds dropped, the confidence dropped too. In fact, everything dropped. It was all going south. At one point in 1928, attendances were so loud you could probably hear individual conversations in the stands. But even in the toughest of times, a little bit of hope flickered. Players like William Lake and Fred Herbert, a man with another wonderful moustache, were scoring goals and giving fans something to cheer about. And then, just when things felt stuck, everything changed. In 1931, a new manager arrived. He went by the name of Harry Storer. You thought I was going to say Harry Potter, didn't you? He wasn't there to mess about. He looked at the club and basically said, right, we're starting again. And what happened next? Well, plenty of goals hit the back of the net. That's what happened next. Because enter Harry Storer. The man who basically walked into Coventry and said, we're not doing this losing stuff anymore, it's about to change. The team didn't just win games, they scored ridiculous amounts of goals. So many goals that people started calling the club the Old Five. Why, I hear you ask? Well, because they pretty much scored 5 goals in every single match. It got a bit stupid. Most teams are happy with 1. Coventry weren't happy until they were halfway to double digits. And a man called Clarry Borton in one season, in the 1931-32 season to be precise, scored 49 league goals. Not even Erling Haaland has done that in the league. 49 of them. That is not normal. The next season, he bagged 40 more. Honestly, if there was a goal within 20 yards, Clarry Borton had already scored it. Meanwhile, Coventry as a team was smashing in over 100 goals across multiple seasons. That's like scoring 3 every single game. Imagine trying to keep up with that on your sticker chart at home. You'd run out of stickers pretty quickly. And then came a huge moment. In 1935 to 1936, that season there, Coventry won the 3rd division. Promotion was secured. The job was done. The Sky Blues were flying. However, it wouldn't be long and the world would change again. The Second World War began in 1939. Highfield Road, the home of Coventry City, was bombed in the Blitz. Football paused, life changed, and that incredible goal-scoring team was suddenly gone. But here's the thing, what they built, what they showed, that attacking, fearless, never hold back style, it never really disappeared. Because when you get the taste of scoring 5 goals in a game, you don't really forget it. Football, of course, returned after the war, thank goodness, but everything felt different. Stadiums damaged, teams rebuilt, players came back after years away, and some of them didn't come back at all. And for Coventry City, it was time to start again. New energy, new hope, new dreams and ambitions. And leading the change was a man who would go on to change pretty much everything. His name was Jimmy Hill. Now you'll like this one, so make sure you're listening carefully. This bloke wasn't just a manager, he was like a football inventor. First things first, he had a look at the kit and said, "Sky Blue, that's our colour," and just like that, Coventry became the Sky Blues, and they wore Sky Blue. And yes, that nickname pretty much has stuck forever. But Jimmy Hill didn't stop there. Oh no, he had ideas, big ones too, and not just for Coventry City. He introduced all-seater sections in the stadium, which was almost unheard of back then. I mean, some places had done it, but Coventry were quite unique. He pushed for better facilities, and wait for this, he even helped bring in the 3 points for a win system. Yep, that was him. What you see every weekend. If you play for a team and you get points when you win, you get 3 points. Why? Well, because Jimmy Hill was the man who pushed for it. Basically, he was playing football chess while everyone was playing snakes and ladders. But most importantly, his team could play. They were fast, they were fearless, they were fun, they were really good to watch. And in 1963 to 64, Coventry won the title again. Promotion secured, crowd buzzing, dreams were growing. And then, in the 1966-67 season, Coventry did it. They won the 2nd division title, and for the first time ever, they reached the top division of English football. The big time, the big boys, the best of the best. Coventry were up there. Highfield Road must have been absolutely rocking. Well, so there they were. Welcome to the 1st division, Coventry, the top league with the big dogs. And little old Coventry City, they pulled up their chair and they said, "Yeah, we'll stay here, thanks very much." Season after season, they survived. They didn't just survive though, they became one of the longest serving teams in top flight history. That's like being invited to a party and never leaving. Everyone else going home at some point. Coventry was still there having their crisps and dancing. But it wasn't always easy. Oh no, because football, sport, life isn't always smooth sailing. I think we've worked that out now. There was some proper last day drama moments for them, including one of the most famous ever. It was the 1985-86 season, final day of the season. Coventry needed to avoid defeat against Everton to stay up. And what did they do? They won it. They won it 2-1. Mic drop, another season in top flight football. Thank you very much. But the biggest moment is this one. 1987, an FA Cup final. Coventry City versus Tottenham Hotspur. Nobody expected Coventry to win. Underdogs and outsiders, just be happy to be there kind of stuff. The game was chaos. It was drama. There were goals everywhere. And then, extra time, up steps a bloke called Keith Houchen, and he does a flying header in that sky blue kit, flies into the box like Superman and scores a cracker. One of the most famous last-minute goals in FA Cup history. Honestly, if you tried that in the playground, you'd end up with a mouthful of grass. Coventry won 3-2. They were FA Cup winners. They had done it. After the FA Cup magic, reality unfortunately crept right back in. Coventry City was still in the top division. Let's not get it twisted, nothing wrong with that. But every season felt like a tightrope walk. Stay up, just about, and repeat. They became survival specialists. Managers came and they went, but one man stuck around. A man called Steve Ogritzovich. The goalkeeper, the legend, the man with the magic hands. Over 600 appearances he made for that club. And in the 2000 to 2001 season, after 34 straight years in top flight football, Coventry were relegated. The long stay was over. Nearly 3.5 decades had come to an end. Relegation hit hard. But what would come next? Proper chaos would come next. Coventry City dropped down the leagues. This happens on a regular basis because once you get relegated, it is tough getting back up. Money problems grew, and then came the unthinkable. They left their home of Highfield Road. Their home was gone. Later, things got even worse. In 2013, they had to play their home games in Northampton. It was like 35 miles away from Coventry. Imagine telling your fans, home game today, but not actually at home. You've got to travel for 45 minutes in the car, maybe even further. Relegations followed. Confusion was everywhere. Fans were frustrated, but through it all, the supporters never gave up. And that mattered more than anything. Because today, because of those fans, because of the people who have been involved in the club, Coventry City are strong again. Playing at their beloved home ground, with fans back where they belong, loud, proud and together. They've got exciting players, a fearless style and a manager who knows exactly what the club means to the fans. The dream is simple: return to the Premier League. And this time, stay there for longer than 34 years. Because if this story has taught us anything, it's this: Coventry City never stayed down for too long. From bicycles to battles to absolute brilliance, the Sky Blues will rise again, because that is what they're all about. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about the Football for Kids podcast. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and don't forget, the Kellogg'S football camps are back.